everyone, Redneck Computer Geek here, and today we're going to be working on installing this steering shaft support that goes into a first generation Craftsman steering box and how to get it apart and put it back together. Now, I'll include the model number for this polymer steering shaft support. This is what usually causes a lot of the slop that's in these first generation boxes. And what happens is this upper area ends up wearing out, and I'm sure we'll see that once we get into it. Now, in order to get this box out, you've got to go through quite a bit of rigmarole, and I'll post up a video montage of tearing down to this box from this build here that I'm working on. This is the Mud Wizard frame, and we're going to be building that up. If you've never looked into mud mowers, check out the rest of my channel and see what we do here. Now, in order to get to this box, you've got to go and take it out of the machine in order to do the bushing. So your first thing is underneath the frame, where the connection is that goes onto this arm. You're going to have to go and take off that ball joint. Also in the frame, you're going to have to find the 4 bolts that are mounted from underneath. They're going to be near your idler pulley. They're going to be just behind it, in between the idler pulley and the transmission. They're going to be right about this area. Once you take those 4 bolts out, as far as up top is concerned, you're going to have to pull your steering wheel cap. Once you pull your steering wheel cap, pull the bolt that is in the center. Once you pull that steering wheel off of the column, you're going to have to remove the extension shaft that's underneath it. Once you remove the extension shaft, you need to undo the 2 bolts that are on the plastic bearing mount, and then from there you can pull the box out. Now, you also, in order to be able to pull the box, will end up having to pull your gas tank out, or at least unbolt the gas tank and set it off to the side so that you can take the box, which sits like this. If this was your steering wheel side, what you're going to need to do is shove the shaft up through your dashboard and then rotate it so that this comes undone, and then lift it up and out over the top of your engine. As you can see, once you let it back down into the engine bay, you just simply rotate the shaft and it comes back to square one where it was. And bolts in like that through the bottom. So we're going to put this on the bench. You're going to need a couple of things to do this. The first thing is going to be a flathead screwdriver in order to go and get C-clips off. And the next thing is going to be you're going to need some Torx bits, because the inside of this is a Torx spec. Alright, let's go put it on the bench. Alright, so we can do this freehand, but a bench vise makes it a ton easier to do. It also makes it easier when you're trying to record a video of it and all that kind of fun stuff. So at this point, we're going to pop it into the vise, and we're going to have our C-clip up here. These are pretty simple. Just put a flathead in there and just torque it a bit and they snap right off. And of course I'll get the one that doesn't want to just because I'm on film. There we go. And as you can see, that dropped. Now there's going to be a couple of washers that are going to be in there for spacing. And what you're going to need to do at this point, which is why it is yet again working with the vise makes it easier, is if you take it and you set it up and over and in, now you can lay this down and be able to pull this slightly sideways, because you're going to have to get to the next C-clip. So your next C-clip is going to actually be in here. You've got to knock that C-clip out of there. There's no real good way to get a camera in that spot, but it's in this groove. So what you got to do is knock the C-clip around until you can get your screwdriver into that edge and then pull up on it. So from here, you should be able to grab onto this and, reef it around once or twice, and it should come loose. Now there are splines on the inside of this gear piece, and that's what sets your distances. That's what sets your angle when you go to put it back. And don't worry about trying to remember the angle. There's a trick to that too. So there we go. Once you get it undone a bit, you should be able to move it around and pop the piece off. Now see, this one here is actually a replacement also. Somebody else already dealt with it. Now when you get to this point, you need to remember big side that way, small side that way when you go to put it back together. But our problem we got to deal with now is that inside of here, I don't know if I can get the light, there you go, there's a Torx bit on the inside of there that we got to undo next. There we go. And for those that are about to ask, that would be a T27 size. Now here we go. For any keyboard warrior out there that already typed a comment, the part number for this is in the description. Just go check the description, you'll find it. And so here we are. There's a new one next to the old one. There's that. And you can actually see the physical difference worn out between the two of them. And there's that. So we'll take this and drop it down on. Does not matter what direction it goes because it just spins on the shaft. And we'll drop this down in. So there we are. We got that torqued on there. It spins nice. A lot less play than there was before. So now we got to put it back together. Now remember, the big side goes towards the gear. The little side goes away from the gear when you go to put it back together. So let's put the box back in the vise. Here you can see that spline shaft that I was talking about earlier. Right in there. See if we can get this. There you go. Spline shaft. Now, what you're going to notice also is right here, right there, is a little mark. Let me see if I can get the light correct. Right there. See that mark? That mark lines up with this right here. So you want those going exactly the same direction when you get this put back together. Alright, so here we are. We got it inside the vise. You want to go and have the level of the bottom here as level with your jaw as you can, because it'll make it easier to deal with lining this gear up. So now that we've got our brand spanking new gear, we've got thick side towards the gear, and we're going to move this around a bit. There we are, and slide it back in like so. And now the trick here is that you need to sight down across that mark I showed you earlier. You need to sight down that mark and line up this piece as you put it in. Okay, so what we can see now is that we've got our lined up mark on the side here, lined up with our extended piece here. We've got this piece here, which is keyed going into the side piece here. We've got our groove, which is right in here that our C-clip needs to go in. We've got the big side of our polymer matched up to the gear side here, and we've got the small nub side going out the shaft here. So what we're going to do is drive our C-clip into the side of this piece here. And for the person about to comment about using the pipe, what's nice is if you take your pipe and you press it here, you can push down and leverage these clips in. Then grab your screwdriver and get it the rest of the way. There we are. Alright, from here we're going to get this pushed all the way back through the rest of the way, like so. So we got 3 washers to go on. Now this unit's been torn apart before, so most likely one of those is a spacer or a shim. And our piece to go on there. And if you put a finger on it and then tap the other end of the screwdriver, you should be able to set it in. Like so. Hopefully you caught that on camera. Now, if you've done it right, then this should no longer be sliding all over the place like it was originally, and it should be tight to turn like it is now. See, I can leave the shaft up or at an angle, and it doesn't want to move. That's how tight it really should be on the steering. So there we go. Hopefully this how-to ended up helping you with everything that you needed. We've got our first generation steering box all rebuilt. Unfortunately, that's not going to cut it with this mud mower build. We're going to be swapping over to a second generation steering box, but we'll cover that later. Hopefully, if you're new to the channel, you subscribe for more videos of this nature. And if I've helped you out in the past, do me a favor, log over to Patreon and buy me a cup of coffee every once in a while. Thank you everybody for your support, and I hope your project goes well.